Yes, technically. I mean, there's always, if you're right, if you think you're right, you're gonna want to speak up. But if there's always that, you know, if everyone else thinks your answer is wrong, they'll be like, "Psh, that's wrong." You know, you don't want to be that one guy that's saying the thing that's, or gal that's wrong because it's stupid. You know, it shows you're not with with everyone else, and you're not understanding what's happening.
Like when people are kind of wrapping it up and you still don't get something, you kind of feel like you haven't really done your job as a student to get the information because everyone else has already gotten that, and you're just kind of sitting there with some questions, but you kind of feel like you should have the answer to those questions.
I thought because we're at like a higher level, and so a lot of kids would probably know more than I did, and maybe like think like, oh, like she doesn't know that, like what a loser kind of thing. So, and I didn't, and like through like my life, like I never liked being wrong ever, and like, because you want to feel like you know things, like you want to feel confident about yourself.
Depends on the teacher.
Why?
Because sometimes they get annoyed when you're wrong.
Or sometimes they kind of get scary and they kind of act like you're really dumb if you just don't understand something, which is not something that you want to experience, especially in front of like all your classmates.
When I feel like everybody else understands what's going on and I don't, then I'm not going to ask because I'm going to look like an idiot if I ask a question.
I am afraid to be wrong in like a classroom setting where like the teacher is like lecturing or teaching the entire class at the same time, and you know that other kids are getting it, and then like if you do ask the question, the teacher can get annoyed. Like if you see the teacher previously get annoyed with the student when they get wrong, like I don't know, sometimes that happens in my other classes, and they're like, how do you not know that, like I already taught that kind of vibe. Then you're afraid to ask questions further, and then instead of being wrong in a little group, you're wrong in a big group, and everyone's just like, wow, you're wrong, and it's just not so good of an environment.
If you don't risk the question, if you don't risk knowing, then how are you going to learn? Asking questions is all what school's about, right? And finding out new information. That's what we're here for, because we want to learn, and it's our job to learn, and we can expand our knowledge in that way, and it prepares us for our future. We can be life learners.
Failing is part of learning, and like I actually remember more if I get it wrong and then I have to fix it, because then I remember that like fixing it part instead of just like, because if you get everything right the first time, it all just like blends together and you don't remember it as well. But if you get that little like the bump, and like if you don't like being wrong, then like you remember feeling like you're wrong, so then you change it so that you're right, but you remember that feeling, so you remember what you did learn after the fact that you're wrong.
Well, I think it's just the class. So everyone has questions about something, so everyone can just ask them, because if one person doesn't understand one thing, another person doesn't understand something else.
Because you get like other people's views of like, because you have your lab partner and then like the group across from you, so you just have like a lot of talking, and like it's likely that at least one person at your table understands what's going on, and so like you can just ask them a question and then they'll give you an answer, or like someone else will give you an answer, so you can like use them to just totally understand everything.
Because I think when you're in the smaller groups, it's easier to talk to each other and learn off of each other instead of just learning off the teacher, because then you can get the different views of students that are at your level too, instead of just some teacher that like has been to college and knows all this stuff anyways, but learn with your other peers. It is, but I don't think it's portrayed that way because of like the demand for good grades, and just like it's a place for learning, and I feel like people just think that when you're learning, that means you have to be right all the time in your journey of learning, whatever. And instead of being wrong every once in a while and learning more from that, because you can't learn from your mistakes if you don't make them.